Nelson, a weary traveler, found himself deep within the heart of the ominous dark forest. The thick canopy overhead blocked out the moonlight, casting an eerie shadow on the twisted path beneath his feet. The air was heavy with an unsettling stillness, and the only sounds were the rustling leaves and distant cries of unknown creatures. As Nelson ventured further, he noticed strange markings on the gnarled tree trunks, as if warning him of an impending danger. Ignoring his instincts, he pressed on, driven by an unexplainable curiosity that seemed to tighten its grip with every step. The forest's ominous reputation was well known, with tales of those who entered never returning. Yet Nelson was desperate to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within its dark embrace. The winding trail seemed to play tricks on his senses, making him question if he was truly alone. Suddenly, a distant whisper echoed through the trees. Nelson froze, his heart pounding in his chest. The voice seemed to beckon him, promising answers to the questions that haunted his thoughts. He followed the ethereal sound, deeper into the shadows, unaware that he was being lured into a web of mysteries that would soon entangle him. The path twisted and turned, the trees closing in on Nelson like silent observers. He stumbled upon an ancient altar adorned with cryptic symbols and surrounded by ominous silence. As he approached, the whisper grew louder, revealing fragmented tales of a dark past that sent shivers down the spine. Hours passed like mere seconds, and Nelson found himself entangled in a labyrinth of secrets. He couldn't escape the feeling that the forest was alive, its ancient pulse beating in sync with his own. The shadows deepened and the air grew colder as he pressed on, determined to uncover the truth that lurked within the heart of the dark forest. Nelson's quest for answers led him to a clearing bathed in an otherworldly glow. In the center stood an old gnarled oak tree, its branches reaching out like skeletal fingers towards the sky. As he approached, the whispering voices intensified, revealing a tale of betrayal, lost souls, and a curse that bound the forest to its own malevolent will. The air grew thick with tension as Nelson realized he was not alone. Shadowy figures emerged from the darkness, their eyes reflecting the pale moonlight with an unnatural gleam. They surrounded him, silent and foreboding, as if guardians of the forest's darkest secrets. A haunting melody echoed through the clearing, the source unseen. Nelson felt an irresistible urge to dance, his movements guided by an unseen force. The shadows joined in, swirling around him in a macabre dance that seemed to transcend time itself. It became clear that the forest held not only the secrets of the past, but also an insidious power that sought to enthrall its unsuspecting visitors. As the dance reached its crescendo, Nelson caught glimpses of ghostly faces in the shadows, faces that mirrored his own desperation and curiosity. The forest, it seemed, fed on the emotions of those who dared to enter, weaving them into its dark tapestry of deception. With each step, Nelson felt the forest tightening its grip on his soul. The whispers that once promised answers now taunted him with cryptic riddles, leaving him lost in a maze of half-truths. He yearned to break free, but the forest's enchantment was relentless, pulling him deeper into its grasp. As the night wore on, Nelson's vision blurred and the dance became a feverish trance. The forest reveled in the torment of its captive, its secrets remaining just out of reach. And so the weary traveler danced on, caught in the relentless embrace of the dark forest's malevolent enchantment. Exhausted and disoriented, Nelson stumbled through the shifting shadows of the forest. The dance had taken its toll, leaving him drained and on the brink of despair. The voices that once whispered promises of answers now mocked him, a chorus of deceit echoing through the ancient trees. As he trudged forward, Nelson found himself in a clearing unlike any he had encountered before. In the center stood an ancient altar, similar to the one he had discovered earlier, but this one emanated an ominous energy that sent shivers down the spine. The forest seemed to hold its breath, anticipating the culmination of Nelson's journey. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, a spectral presence that embodied the essence of the forest itself. the ethereal being spoke in a haunting voice, weaving together the threads of the past and present, revealing the tragic tale of the dark forest. Centuries ago, a forbidden love had blossomed between two souls torn apart by a cruel fate. The forest, witness to their clandestine affair, became a silent witness to their betrayal and ultimate demise. Enraged by the tragedy, the ancient spirits cast a curse, binding the souls of the ill-fated lovers to the heart of the dark forest. Nelson, now an unwitting participant in the forest's twisted dance, realized that the answers he sought were intricately tied to the tragic history that unfolded beneath the ancient oak tree. The spectral figure beckoned him to the altar, where the truth awaited its final revelation. In a moment of clarity, Nelson understood the price he must pay to unravel the forest's mysteries. With trepidation, he reached out and touched the ancient symbols etched onto the altar. A surge of energy coursed through him, connecting him to the lingering spirits in the forest itself. The shadows receded and the forest revealed its true nature, a realm suspended between the living and the dead. Nelson's mind became a vessel for the voices of the past as the spirits shared their pain, their love, and the tragedy that had condemned them to an eternity within the dark forest. As the final echoes of the spectral voices faded away, Nelson found himself alone in a clearing. The forest, once alive with malevolent energy, now stood silent and still. The curse had been broken, and the ancient spirits had found a measure of peace. With a heavy heart, Nelson emerged from the dark forest, forever changed by the ordeal. The path behind him vanished, swallowed by the shadows, leaving no trace of the haunting dance that had ensnared him. As he stepped into the moonlit night, the whispers faded, and the forest released its grip on his soul. The mysteries of the dark forest remained etched in Nelson's memory, a haunting reminder of the thin veil between the living and the supernatural. The twisted trees whispered tales of love and loss, ensuring that the forest's secrets would endure, passed down through the ages like an ancient curse, waiting to ensnare the next unsuspecting traveler who dared to wander into its depths. The air in the small town of Ravenswood hung heavy with a sense of unease. It was nestled on the edge of a vast and mysterious forest, known to the locals as the Dark Forest. Tall, ancient trees loomed over the town, their twisted branches casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance in the dim light of the waning sun. Tim, a curious and adventurous young man, couldn't resist the allure of the dark forest. Intrigued by the tales of hidden secrets and ancient mysteries, he decided to explore its depths. Armed with only a flashlight and a sense of trepidation, Tim ventured into the heart of the forbidding woodland. The further Tim delved, the denser the forest became, and the more disoriented he felt. The trees seemed to close in around him, their gnarled limbs reaching out like skeletal fingers. Unearthly whispers rustled through the leaves, sending shivers down Tim's spine. As the darkness deepened, Tim stumbled upon an abandoned clearing. In its center stood an ancient, dilapidated mansion, its windows shattered and door creaking on rusty hinges. Despite the overwhelming feeling of foreboding, Tim's curiosity got the better of him, and he cautiously stepped inside. The mansion's interior was suffused with an otherworldly stillness. Tim's flashlight flickered, casting long, distorted shadows on the decaying wallpaper. The air was thick with dust, and every creak of the floorboards seemed to echo through the empty halls. Suddenly, a distant, haunting melody reached Tim's ears. He followed the sound, winding his way through the dilapidated rooms until he discovered a grand piano covered in a dusty sheet. To his amazement, the piano began to play by itself, its keys moving with an ethereal grace. The haunting melody seemed to beckon Tim further into the mansion. Despite the nagging feeling that he should turn back, he pressed on, drawn by the mysterious music that echoed through the desolate corridors. Little did Tim know that the forest outside had come alive with malevolent shadows. As he ventured deeper into the mansion, the trees in the dark forest seemed to sway in time with the haunting melody, casting eerie silhouettes against the moonlit sky. Unknown to Tim, he had become entangled in a web of secrets woven by the forest itself, and the shadows that lurked within were watching, waiting for the right moment to reveal their ominous truths. Tim moved through the mansion's echoing halls, guided by the spectral melody emanating from the piano. The air grew colder, and the whispers of the forest outside seemed to penetrate the decaying walls. He stumbled upon a hidden door, partially ajar, leading to a staircase that descended into darkness. As he cautiously descended, the ghostly melody intensified, echoing through the subterranean chambers. The staircase led him to an underground labyrinth, a maze of forgotten passages and cryptic symbols etched into the stone walls. The air was heavy with an ancient magic that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Tim, now surrounded by the labyrinth's twists and turns, felt a growing sense of disorientation. Shadows flickered across the walls, taking on unsettling shapes that seemed to whisper secrets known only to the forest. The melody, now hauntingly beautiful, guided him deeper into the heart of the underground maze. Suddenly, the walls of the labyrinth began to shift, closing in on Tim. Panic set in as he realized he was trapped. The whispers grew louder, urging him to unravel the mysteries of the forest or be consumed by its malevolent enchantment. Desperation fueled Tim's determination. He deciphered the cryptic symbols, each revealing a piece of the forest's dark history. The tales spoke of ancient rituals, long-forgotten pacts, and a malevolent force that had long slumbered beneath the roots of the dark forest. With each revelation, the forest seemed to tighten its grip. Tim's surroundings warped, and the walls of the labyrinth seemed to pulse with a sinister energy. Shadows closed in, threatening to drag him into the depths of the forest's secrets. Just as Tim felt the forest's malevolence closing in, a flicker of realization crossed his mind. The ancient forest sought release, and only by confronting the darkness head-on could he break free from the enchanted labyrinth. Summoning courage, Tim pressed on, guided by the haunting melody that now seemed to echo with his own heartbeat. The labyrinth responded, shifting and reshaping itself to test his resolve. As he ventured deeper, the oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the whispers of the forest transformed into distant murmurs of approval. Finally, at the heart of the labyrinth, Tim confronted a pulsating core of ancient energy. A surge of power passed through him as he touched the core, connecting him with the forest's ancient secrets. The walls of the labyrinth crumbled away, and the haunting melody reached a crescendo. As Tim emerged into the moonlit night, the forest's shadows retreated, revealing the majestic beauty of the dark forest. The malevolence that had once enveloped him now transformed into a gentle breeze, carrying whispers of gratitude from the ancient trees. Tim, forever changed by the experience, stood at the edge of the dark forest. The haunting melody lingered in the air, a reminder of the secrets he had uncovered. As he looked back at the now silent mansion, he knew the tales of the dark forest would live on, forever intertwined with his own journey into the heart of its mysteries. The town of Ravenswood awoke to a new day, blissfully unaware of the dark events that had transpired within the heart of the dark forest. Tim, though changed by the experience, found it challenging to put the haunting memories behind him. The forest's whispers still lingered in his mind, a constant reminder of the ancient secrets he had unraveled. As days turned into weeks, Tim couldn't shake the feeling that the dark forest held more mysteries than he had uncovered. The townspeople, oblivious to the supernatural forces that had gripped their surroundings, went about their lives with a sense of normalcy. Yet Tim felt a growing responsibility to protect them from the lurking shadows that had nearly consumed him. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, Tim began researching the town's history. Old books, dusty archives, and the tales of the elderly revealed a tapestry of forgotten lore. He discovered that the mansion he had explored was once home to a powerful family that had forged a pact with the ancient forces dwelling in the dark forest. The labyrinth, a testament to their binding contract, served as a gateway to the forest's mystical energies. As Tim delved deeper, he realized that the forest's enchantment was far from broken. The ancient forest still pulsed beneath the roots, its presence woven into the varied fabric of Ravenswood. The dark forest demanded a balance, and the pack, disturbed by Tim's intrusion, sought a new equilibrium. Haunted by a sense of responsibility, Tim returned to the forest, determined to find a way to safeguard the town. He ventured deeper, guided not by a haunting melody, but by an innate understanding of the forest's rhythms. The shadows seemed to acknowledge his presence, parting to reveal hidden paths and secrets. In the heart of the dark forest, Tim discovered an ancient altar, its stone surface etched with symbols that resonated with the town's history. It became clear that only by renewing the pact, under Tim's benevolent influence, could he restore the balance and protect Ravenswood from the looming darkness. As he performed the ritual, a surge of energy flowed through him, connecting him with the ancient forces. The forest responded, its shadows weaving a protective barrier around the town. The whispers transformed into harmonious murmurs, expressing gratitude for Tim's willingness to embrace the responsibility thrust upon him. As the final echoes of the ritual faded away, the dark forest stood silent, its malevolence transformed into a watchful guardian. Tim emerged, the weight of his burden lifted, and a newfound sense of purpose guiding his steps. Ravenswood, unaware of the supernatural events that had transpired, continued its existence under the watchful eyes of the ancient forest. Tim, now intertwined with the town's destiny, became its silent guardian, ensuring that the lingering shadows never overcame the delicate balance between the mystical forces and the ordinary lives of the townspeople. And so the tale of Tim and the dark forest faded into the hushed whispers of the trees, becoming a hidden chapter in Ravenswood's history, a story of sacrifice, redemption, and the eternal dance between light and shadow.